AITA for writing a letter to the parents of a girl for her dangerous driving? So this is a weird one. Saturday morning, I was driving to take my son out for the day, and I was behind a driver that was very dangerous. As I drove, I watched her almost hit the guardrail on her side of the road 3 times, swerving back each time. She almost went into the ditch a couple times, swerving back again. She hit a squirrel without even slowing down, and while that can happen, with everything else, I was furious. Then we hit a spot on the road where it was turning to the right, and she went 4 feet into the oncoming lane. This Nissan Frontier was coming up the road with kayaks on top, and the driver had to bail off the road and into a dirt gravel parking lot to avoid her while he was locking up the brakes. I was livid. I kept myself at a safe distance, but if she had head-on crashed into him, those kayaks would have become missiles aimed at me, and that driver would have been in serious danger. The speed was about 60 miles per hour, which is easily fatal in a head-on crash, or offset head-on. I was convinced she was texting and driving. She pulled into a gas station, and I pulled in behind her, and yelled at her about it. I told her she was a menace, wake the fuck up, put her fucking phone down, it was sitting in her lap, all of it. She was calling me a pussy-ass bitch and things like that. It was heated. It didn't start out screaming at each other, but it escalated. One about my day, but I was still mad, because if there had been a jogger or someone riding a bike, she'd have killed them. It was really dangerous. As I drove back along that road late in the afternoon, I saw the car. Same license plate, same crack in the windshield, I knew it was hers, parked in front of a house not far from where I live, small town. She was young, so I figured it was her parents' house. I went home, and I've never done this, but I nearly lost all 3 of my kids in an accident that my oldest caused a few years ago, so I wrote a letter. I didn't curse, I said I had a confrontation with their daughter, explained all of it, and how worried I was for her safety and everyone else's. I've never done this in my life. I drove it over, and spoke to the mom. She was so apologetic, said her daughter was just starting as a nurse and had made a med error with insulin and a patient had died, it had been a long shift, and she was falling asleep. She said her daughter called her crying afterwards, said it was all her fault, and she was in the wrong. We talked, very calmly, but I had already handed her the letter describing her daughter as a menace on the road, and never thought to take it back. So now I'm torn between being in the right with the information I had when I wrote the letter, versus being an asshole for writing it. So AITA for writing the letter?